Today we're here to do a full movie breakdown, analysis, and film criticism of Sheila and Troy's story from the 2007 movie Why Did I Get Married?
Written and directed by Heit Cheri, Why Did I Get Married tells the stories of four couples as they traverse the highs and lows of marriages, complicated by secrets and lies. Please note that in this video series on Why Did I Get Married, we've decided to create a separate video for each of the couples so that we can fully examine what happens in detail without the time constraints. Be sure to check our breakdowns of the other couples linked in the description. But in this video, we'll be focusing on Sheila and Troy's relationship.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
I can't wait to talk about this movie. But first, we want to thank all of the supporters who've helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
Giving up is hard to do.
So as the scene opens, we're at this point in the movie where the secret is out. Mike, Sheila's husband, has been revealed to have been cheating at that infamous dinner scene.
The reason she can't go with this man or any other man is because she's sleeping with yours, Sheila.
Where everything just explodes. And so Mike has been fooling around with Trina, his side chick, his mistress.
It's over. I'll be more than fair, but I want a divorce.
Who he brought to this couples retreat. And now Sheila knocked him in the head with a wine bottle. And now we have her just in a hotel room, just mourning the loss. She can't believe it. She just is devastated. You can even tell from the way she's just rocking back and forth. And then the music is playing.
While she's in this hotel room acting like this, Jennifer Holliday's Giving Up from 1987 is playing.
Giving up is hard to do.
But, you know, the song goes way back to probably as far as 1964 with Gladys Knight and the Pips. But my favorite version is Donny Hathaway from Donny Hathaway album in 1971.
So then there's a knock at the door.
Sheila, you know you had the key in the door.
So the knock at the door is none other than Sheriff Troy. And first thing she says is, you come to arrest me? And he's like, no, I came to check on you.
You came to arrest me.
Actually, I saw your car out front. I just came to check on you.
Again, he is checking on her, making sure that she
Man.
is safe. Why
This
are
sheriff is here to comfort the criminal.
you? Shut up. This
'Cause
is a great story.
She
What
is
do
a
you mean?
criminal.
Listen, Sheriff Troy is the hero of
She
this movie.
assaulted, battered that man. And then the sheriff, that's why she was like, you come to arrest me, and did I kill him? Should I? But I should have, right?
Did I kill him?
No, you didn't kill him, but he's going to have one hell of a headache.
You witnessed this assault.
Yeah, he did.
Then Troy is trying to make his exit. He's like, all right, y'all, I just think I just need to get on up out of here.
Well, you all, thanks for dinner, but I should be going.
And he's like, let me go comfort her.
And it's the next day, right? So she didn't get arrested that night. When he witnessed all of that, he didn't do anything that night either. And so go to the comments. Let us know. Should Sheriff Troy have intervened and done his sheriffly duties that night or not? I mean, of course, I don't think that he should have done anything.
Where were her friends then?
They let her leave. They let her leave out of that door after she cold cocked Mike over the head with that champagne bottle or that wine bottle.
Yeah, and then in the next scene, they're still leaving the cabin.
I'm really sorry about everything, okay?
He is here already. He done went online and drained the account.
You know, he emptied out my bank account. I have $87 to my name.
I mean, it don't take long to drain an account, even in 2007.
She said, I have $87 to my name. It don't matter if it take that long. It's like, as soon as this happened, that's what he did.
I mean, true. But this lends itself to the fact that I believe that he was planning for what could happen if it was exposed, especially once he brought Trina on the trip. Like, one of the questions that we asked in the polls was whether or not people felt that Mike was planning to leave her, or would Mike have ever left? And I don't know that Mike was exactly planning to leave her, but things escalated pretty quickly. And once he was exposed, I think Mike just was like, fine, I want a divorce. But he cleaned out the bank account and she was like, I only have $87 to my name. Like, and I just want to just talk about the stuff that happens just in this one little scene. First thing she asked, like you said, is, did I kill him? And, Troy's like, no, you didn't kill him. And she said, I should have killed him. And he like, you don't mean that. And then when she just keeps sitting there, he's like, well, maybe you do, right?
I should have killed him.
Sheila, you don't mean that. Maybe you do.
We find out the reason why, because she's like, I gave him my life. Like, I gave him everything.
I gave him my life.
And he emptied out my bank account. And we talked about the fact that in the movie, because I know some of y'all like to talk about the play and everything else, but in the movie, they don't have kids and Sheila doesn't appear to work outside of the home. So all of her financial means are coming from Mike. And he left her with $87 to her name. He emptied out the bank account. So she has no access to money. She's like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do.
And she don't have enough money to get gas to drive back north to where she came from.
She can't even drive home. And I don't know. We
could get a bus or a train ticket.
For $87,
Probably
maybe a bus. She might be on the funky Greyhound bus
Oh, well.
for $87. But even still, so when you get back, where do you go to? You can't even apparently go home. Your stuff probably gonna be
He was
moved
giving
out,
her that
boxed
house.
up,
Well,
or
maybe somebody lived there.
Trina gonna be living at her house by the time she
no,
drives all the way
rental
home.
house he talked about.
I mean, it takes time to work those logistics
Or
out.
you have financially stable, I guess, friends, and you have that. You may have family.
Your friends, well, and see the reason, and I started to be hard on the friends, but at the end of the day, after what happens at that table, everybody's relationship is heavily impacted, and nobody had the bandwidth to be able to care about somebody else and what was going on with them, quite frankly, right? Because once Mike exposed everybody's secrets, everybody kind of went to their respective corners to kind of deal with.
What about Angela?
Well, she was dealing
They
with,
in the same position they were before.
I mean, kind of, but it was still exposed. I mean, so they were all dealing with their relationships blowing up on the spot. Because my first instinct was to be like, girl, why your friends ain't been friending this whole time, except maybe Angela, who wanted to at least tell her that her man was cheating. But now, we have this situation. She's sitting in this hotel room and she's like, I only have $87 to my name. And I know I keep saying this, but ladies, men too, whatever. If you've ever had somebody clean out, just like literally take your money from you, take the money that you had and you have nothing and you're sitting there and you have to rely on somebody else to kind of get you out of this situation because somebody has done you dirty. Like, man, some of y'all in the comments know what that feels like.
How much is this room going to cost?
The room looked like, well, see, it's in a resort area, so it's probably inflated. But at the same time, like maybe last night she had money in her account by the morning.
Yeah, but when do they charge it?
Well, they probably would have authorized it when she moved in.
So she got to get out.
So she can't even stay. That's the point.
Maybe
She can't even stay in the room. So she's in this janky motel room and everything. And Sheriff Troy is there. But the fact that he came to check on her, like, to me, is saying that he has care for her more than he would have just for a regular person in this. The fact that he didn't arrest her.
He said I could be a side dude.
Shut up. Sheriff Troy is not a side dude. Sheriff Troy is a main dude, and he's respectful too. He is the hero of this movie.
Bro. She is married, and then he about to step on up.
Listen, what does he say at the end? Another man's trash is one man's trash is another man's treasure. He about to make this his treasure. She's expressing all of this to Sheriff Troy. Again, we could also talk about the dynamics that we've discussed in the past between men and women traditionally. And we know that Sheila's a traditional woman where, the woman is looking to the man expressing what's going on. And the man naturally feels the desire as well as the obligation in some cases to fix the situation or to help, right? And that's what Sheriff Troy is about to do. And so he's like, well, if you got a minute, I can show you something.
Well, if you got a minute, I'd like to show you something.
She ain't got nothing but minutes because she don't know what she gonna do. She don't have anywhere to stay. She's still in her clothes from last night. She done sat up rocking on this bed the whole night. Like the level of pain, whoo, child.
This is where I come to clear my head.
Somehow Sheila and Troy are on top of a mountain. And Troy explains, hey, I come here, you know what I'm saying, to just spend some time and stuff, clear my head, all this good stuff.
I just come right here, pray, I scream, I yell.
Sheila asks, do you come here to cry sometimes? And he said, yeah, that too.
And it's just me and God.
You ever come here to cry?
Yeah, that too.
And then she just goes into, you know, this mode, and she's talking about, you know, what did I do wrong?
What did I do so wrong? Why he betrayed me?
It's very weird because there are certain philosophies that guides people into believing that when things happen to them, it's their fault. It's something they did or did not do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that the introspective person will tend to blame themselves initially, right? Especially victims. And in this case, you know, she definitely was a victim of his inconsideration and his verbal abuse. And, you know, Mike is what we're talking about.
Hey.
There you go, though.
And so she comes over, sits on the side of the bed.
Trina said you might like it.
And then he literally laughs in her face.
Trina lied.
And while he's laughing in her face, she's telling him, I want us to work.
I love you. I've always loved you.
What do I have to do to make it work? He continues with his cruelness, and he's like, well, first thing you can do is,
You could lose about 50 pounds. Then I might be somewhat attracted to you.
you know, she was a victim of all of that, and it is not uncommon for victims to blame themselves. And then we also know that she's a very religious woman. She's a Black American Christian woman, and a religion is her rock. This is supposed to be her place where she can go, that when things are bad, you know, her prayer is supposed to keep her right in the moments where she's slipping. And so she really has this moment where she starts to cry after she says, well, you know, do you come up here to cry?
I can't even describe to you the pain I feel. It's like I've been hit by a car.
And she can't even describe the pain.
I keep trying to understand. It hurts.
She's just like, she wants to know what she did that was so wrong that he betrayed me, right? So again, she's taking Mike's actions, internalizing them, and turning them on herself, saying like, this is my fault. And Mike, you know, has made her believe that it's her fault. Everything is her fault. Oh, you're too fat. You're too this. You're too whatever. But mainly he focuses on her being overweight as this is the reason why things are bad. Well, the truth is that Mike is just a dog, and that's why things are bad. But, you know, she is internalizing it. And I do think she felt that Mike loved her, and she couldn't believe what, you know, she just is in disbelief, basically. And then she says, I have no life without him. You know, and talks about how much that this whole thing hurts.
I have no life without him.
To even express it even further, she just goes on and says, I can't even pray about it.
I can't even pray about it.
Now, for anybody who is Christian and knows Christians, the first thing that they're going to tell you to do, and maybe in other religions too, is when things are bad, pray on it, pray about it, right? And in this case, her head is so messed up and so scrambled. She's so devastated that she can't even pray. And I'm sure that some people have been at that point in their life. Like, she can't do what she usually does to be her rock in her life. You know, if she's completely knocked off of her square, you know, she cannot do anything. But Sheriff Troy, again, kind of listens, doesn't really say anything. And then he's like, well, it's a great time for a new start if you want to stay.
You know, Sheila, it's a great time for a new start if you want to stay.
She don't have much choice. When she gonna drive on break?
She could be like, Troy, can I borrow $150 for gas?
I know,
to
and
get
never
back
see
to my
you
cheating
again.
husband. And then when I was looking at, you know, how he's looking at her like, just imagine if you're Troy, like, this is a mess. Okay. Some of the viewers have expressed how they like the fact that we bring the male and the female perspective to these stories. But as a man, if you come across a woman like Sheila where you were initially interested and then you see all of this mess that is her life, like,
I don't bring the male perspective, I don't think, as a man. I just bring my thoughts and as me.
okay,
But
well, as
he
your
brought
thoughts
her
and
up
as you.
here, so I don't know why would he bring her up here. Is he just that caring for this stranger, right? How many people have bad things happen in this little resort area? I guess it's not. Don't seem like much people there, but anyway, that he gets involved like this. But if she's like this, I'm just like, yeah, it's messed up. Hope it all works out. Like, what is there to do?
Well, he offers her a way to stay.
Well, he didn't. He said it's a great time for a new start if you want to stay. I don't know.
I mean, to me, that sounds like you ain't gonna be telling me this if you ain't got a viable way for me to stay. And he's being a man, like he's trying to give solutions in this moment. And
Okay.
and you're right. I shouldn't break it down solely based on gender, but this is a Tyler Perry film. We know what the kind of implications are. And I do think the fact that, you know, it's a man to the rescue is part
It
of
talks
the
about,
plot.
yeah, maybe the writer's perspective of men. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So when I look at this, I think that Sheriff Troy is a man who has a lot of compassion. I think that he wants to help. He seems like a genuinely kind of kind man. We don't know a whole lot about him. You know, we just know that he was supposed to be an army brat.
Yeah.
And that he owns this property. And, you know, he's
Yeah.
up there. But he shares his special place with her.
Yeah, what I do know about our community in the last few years, we talk about how no one should feel entitled to other people's stuff and all of that. And we had this whole thing on Axiom Amnesia channel talking about Terry and stuff. So if a guy
From Soul
says,
Food.
a guy says it's a great time for a new start, if you want to stay, don't assume that he going to be footing the bill for you to stay in this place. Or you just being entitled. So we can pick and choose when, you know, we should just be expecting somebody to do something for us, right? But because he don't know her from a can of paint.
Yeah.
This is a stranger.
Yeah.
So if I hear that from a stranger, I'm like, how the hell I'm going to stay here? I ain't got no job. I ain't got no place to stay. I'm leaving. That's
well, I mean, and if I was Sheila, that would be my next question. Like, how am I going to stay?
Yeah.
I just told you I got
$87.
How can I stay? And then he may propose some options on how to stay, or, you know,
But
what could happen.
they cut the scene, so we don't know if that happened or not.
Right. That is very true. But the other thing is, in this movie, in this film, because we're in this magical world, you know, Sheriff Troy is playing the position of the hero. He is the knight in shining armor that is coming to rescue Sheila. I mean, you know, the clues are there already.
Okay, we've been trying to reach you.
Yeah, Mike turned my cell phone off.
Some time has passed and Sheila has called her good girlfriends. She's called Angela, Diane, and Patricia, and is letting them know, you know, what's up with her.
Sheila, honey, do you need some money?
Angela, I'm fine.
Presumably, this is the first time she's called them. And, you know, she says, she hasn't been able to call because Mike has turned her cell phone off. And so she explains to them that she got a job in a general store. And all of their reactions is like, a general store?
I got a job in a general store.
Bruh, so she say, Mike turned my cell phone off, her cell phone off, right? So they can't contact her. And then she says, Angela, I'm fine, but your cell phone is off. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then she talk about, I'm working at a general store. That was her saying that she's fine. And then she say, don't ask. So you're really not fine. And all of this stuff they're talking about, she's not fine. But I got to do stuff on my own now.
Right.
You know, Patricia said, hey, you could come live with us.
Do you need a place to stay?
You can live with us. No, Patricia.
She's like, no, I spent too much time letting other people
Bruh.
take care of me. I got to do this on my
Man,
own.
if you're your husband.
I spent too much time letting other people take care of me.
But anyway, you can live with someone and then do stuff on your own.
Or you could become independent and accept other help. Some help. Like, it's not that she's saying somebody's going to scoop her up and take care of her entire life, but
Forever,
simply
right?
just, you know, could she set her pride aside? Because to me, a lot of this is the pride. She doesn't even want to say where she is. Like, it's a secret.
Gotta find my own way.
Where are you?
Just know I'm fine, Diane.
I'm okay. Just know that I'm fine. I absolutely hate this aspect, this scene, this whole
And
thing.
who was that who said, "I'm really proud of you"?
I gotta do this on my own. I'm really proud of you, Sheila.
Somebody was like, "I'm really proud of you."
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean? Only the fact that she left the husband? Well, she kind of got left.
Or
that I'm an independent woman now.
right. And we did sort of touch on a little bit this idea of how perhaps the other women in the group perceived Sheila, with Sheila being the stay-at-home wife, right? While they all are career women. And so now they're like, oh, look, Sheila's, working a job now and she's taking care. I'm so proud of you. Look at you moving on with your life. And to me, that's like part of the implied and perhaps unspoken aspect of the way the other women viewed Sheila's role and how she was with her husband, Mike. So all we know at this point is she says she's working in a general store and she doesn't want to accept any help from her friends, but she does express that she loves them and they say they love her too and stuff.
I love you, babe.
Sheila, I'm so sorry.
I'll be all right.
Honey, I love you, okay?
That she's going to be all right. And I mean, presumably she looks warm, housed and clothed and sheltered. So, I mean, as far as basic needs, it seems like she's, quote, okay.
I don't know, but if I'm talking to somebody who I've known for a long while and they like, yeah, my cell phone off, I'm working at some place that's beneath my experience level or whatever, or even class level, because the way when she said whatever, what type of store was it?
General store.
A general store, their reaction was like, whoa, what are you doing there, right? Then I'm thinking like, wait, no, ain't no just, yeah, everything's fine. We need to do some more prying to see what's going on with you.
Yeah. So the
To
question,
make sure you're okay.
and I feel like, I don't know, it's a tough one because there were a lot of people who made comments like even about the whole relationship with Mike and whether her friends should have been, involving themselves and telling her that Mike was cheating and stuff like that. And I feel like there is a line which can be kind of gray on how far do you probe in somebody else's life and in their business. But at the same time, if I care about you, it's going to be hard
Yeah.
for me to not know where you are, you claiming you're okay, and then
Yeah.
and not
And-
and I want to know you're okay. I don't want to hear the lip service.
And if somebody is my friend and they're asking me stuff that seems probing, because I would recognize, oh, they're worried about me. I wouldn't feel like, oh, they're being bad people. You have to recognize what friendship is,
right?
which is part of it, right? Even if, oh, she's not ready to know about her husband, but somebody tells you, it ain't like they're trying to cause harm to you. They're trying to be a friend.
Right. And I think it also involves a level of being vulnerable, right? To me, a real friend, somebody who's really close to you in your life is someone who you can let the guards down with. But it seems that her guards are, up. But this is to me a side effect of, and we talked about it in the last video, toxic positivity. It's like we saw how Sheila was always trying to be smiling and upbeat. Doggone well, everything was jacked up in your situation and you're trying to present this face of everything is okay. And she's doing kind of a similar thing here because her life is still kind of upside down, even though she's getting on a track of kind of figuring things out. She didn't let her friends in. At the end of that call, we see her tell Diane, she's like, tell Terry, your husband, I said happy birthday. And Diane is like, wait a minute, that's today?
Diane, tell Terry I said happy birthday, okay?
Oh my God, is that today?
Sheila is so caring that she remembers in the midst of her own stuff that it is actually Terry's birthday, her friend's husband's birthday. And she remembers it even over her friend remembering her own husband's birthday. So I think that's supposed to speak something about how caring and everything that Sheila is as a person, and she seemed like a genuinely kind and caring person. I just wish that she would have utilized her resources better, in this situation. Let your friends be your friend. After Sheila hangs up the phone, we see Sheriff Troy carrying boxes into this general store.
Hey.
Hey.
It's not long before we understand that Sheila is working at Sheriff Troy's general store.
Thanks for getting me this job.
You kidding me?
And Troy tells us basically the store wouldn't even be open.
If it wasn't for you, this place wouldn't even be open again.
It was his father who was passed on, his father's dream to kind of get that store back open and up and running.
Yeah, my daddy loved this store. It's his lifelong dream, this place.
And because of the work that Sheila's been able to put in, he's able to kind of continue his family legacy with the general store. And so Sheila has been very helpful in that way. So we see immediately that Sheriff Troy's, quote, help or his solution for her to be able to stay wasn't just charity, right? He's getting something out of it as well, because now his family legacy is be able to continue on, because of course, if he's working as the sheriff and doing all this other stuff, he wouldn't be able to, work the general store and everything like that. So it's a win-win for both of them.
Yeah, but how did they do all this? Did they get all this inventory since she been there and all of this?
Yeah, I mean, so maybe some time has passed, right? Like I'm thinking a couple months, like she might have been there for a month or two or some weeks even, right? She could have gotten there and been like, oh, look at this dusty store. Let's start ordering things, or let's whatever, And, we know she knows how to shop, and, she is probably has done a lot of shopping along the way. So, yeah. So I think that between the two of them, they got the store together over a matter of weeks or maybe a few months even. But then something interesting happens. Finally, and I say finally, but it's probably at just the right time. Finally, Sheila really notices Sheriff Troy, and she gets to see him, and she realizes that she is attracted to him. So, he starts talking, and she's looking at him as he's all sweaty from working out and whatever. We're hearing this song.
It's Marvin Gaye's I Want You.
And it's playing in the background, and she's kind of like, we're seeing close-ups of his body. Now, one funny thing is, I don't know why they did this weird close-up of his neck. And I'm like, why is the nape of his neck? Why are you showing me that? Usually it would be like, oh, let's focus on, his muscles, his arms, his chest, his smile, whatever. But like they focused on the nape of his neck. It was just like a weird cutscene. But anyway, so she's seeing him really for the first time in this light, right?
We're putting in a lot of time in this place, getting it reopened and all.
Because we talked about in the previous video how when somebody is really hyper focused on their mate, many times they don't see other people. When she first met Sheriff Troy in the police station, when she was going up that mountain to try to save her marriage, like she didn't see him as a man. She just saw him as a guy out there, but she didn't see him as some like potential romantic interest. She wasn't like, ooh, honey, he's so fine. Like she acknowledged it for the sake of trying to hook him up with Trina, but not like, in his own right for her, right? And so she starts like realizing like, look at him. This man is fine. And starts to feel like she kind of likes him.
Oh. You work out every day?
Not every day.
And so then she makes this suggestion, right? And because he's just been finished exercising. And she's like, maybe, I should go to the gym with you,
I should go with you sometime.
You might actually enjoy it. Keeps the stress down.
And then she does some more self-deprecation and, is like, oh, I couldn't run from here to wherever.
I couldn't run from here to that door.
So in other words, she's like, she's out of shape. And he's like, well, listen, maybe we can just start by walking. You want to do that? And she said, no.
Maybe we can start walking first if you want to.
No. She says no. Again, we go back into more of the Marvin Gaye song blaring and her being completely distracted. This really sort of reminds me of how Gloria's character in Waiting to Exhale meets Marvin for the first time. And it's like his voice just fades to the background and she's just obsessed with, him being a fine man.
Yeah, well, my wife was a big woman. I like a woman with a little meat on her bones,
In the middle of him talking, it's like she just loses all of her hearing. She is inhaling this man and she like legit exhales in the middle. Like she goes into a trance and then she exhales. She's just like, in the middle of them having this conversation. It's a lot like that in this scene. But anyway, he asks her to the movies and he's like,
Sheila.
What is it?
You want to go to the movies, like go to the movies.
Movies. Have some fun. You want to go?
Okay.
And then she says yes.
Okay.
now we get the sense that this is a budding, perhaps romantic relationship. Do you think that Sheriff Troy was interested in her at this point?
Well, if he asked her out, probably.
Or was it like, we're just friends? I'm trying to just be your friend. I'm trying to be a good friend.
No, because he could introduce her to women who's in the town who he know.
That's a good point. Somebody
Right.
to be like
And
friend companions.
With the store, he could have hired somebody, a local.
Hmm.
So why was the store down until she got here?
Well,
It's just bad.
bad writing.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just very convenient for the story. Just like the idea that she has to stay there. It's only there so that she can have this relationship with this sheriff who is basically somebody who is way states away. So she got to stay here so that she could get to know him and get with him for the sake of the story. That's the only reason any of this happens.
Huh. Well, and I guess it would be weird if somehow she had means and then she was able to get her own apartment and move away from Mike back in her hometown or wherever she was living. And then Sheriff Troy is like taking flights out to see her or something. Like,
in
I
some
don't think it would
movies,
have happened.
like I think it was the series The Best Man,
Uh-huh.
where it was one of the ladies who was at this resort or wherever they were, and then he saw her at some other place. You know what I'm saying? Just randomly. What are you doing here?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah. It's just like, they got to have a way for the characters to meet. And I think, when you talk about it, because I mean, we are sort of doing film criticism here, right? When you talk about it, there's got to be a way for them to interact with each other that doesn't seem like it's so crazy and
Yeah.
weird. And I guess
And
this
it
really
can't
was
be-
the most convenient.
Yeah, and it can't be they're married still, even though they do that often.
Mm-hmm.
Where the people are married and it's supposed to be, even though they're married, the spouse is bad, so it's okay that they're cheating
Right.
and get into this other relationship and leave their marriage.
Right.
But they have to make a way where it's okay for them to have a relationship.
Well, I like that this was more smooth and it left Sheila's dignity intact and it didn't make her stoop to like a lower level of being like, I'm going to get involved with this before I'm done with my husband all the way. Clearly it's like the ties are cut. I would imagine that the the divorce is either final or soon to be very final, so she's not in any gray area, I don't think. But yeah, it was quite convenient that she could work at his store. She could, he took care of her.
I really love your dad's place.
Sheila and Mike have apparently been working out and now they're at this diner. They're both dressed out in their workout clothes and whatnot. And Sheila's like, I love your dad's place.
But I gotta pay you back.
So we also find out another tidbit of information that Sheila has been staying at Troy's father's place, which is the place where they were staying for their couples retreat. Hello, that's a nice house.
Nice.
Sheila's been staying there like
Is that his place?
yeah.
Or did he just own that place in addition to where he called home?
Well, I don't know, but I think he was saying that he was living there. That was my understanding, is that is the house the father lived in before, died or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty nice.
But she's like, I got to pay you back. So she's been living there. He let her live there without paying rent. And then look, think about it. He was renting that place. So he's losing money by
And
her being able to stay there.
He know what he's paying you. You can't pay him back.
His mind wasn't on getting paid back either because he refuses payment. He's like, nah, don't worry about it.
I do.
Nah, it's all good. Don't even sweat that.
How does she plan on paying him back?
She was going to
See,
take
people
her.
just be saying stuff, man. You can't pay that man back.
Well, it would be really hard. It would be because, even if she's getting like just a reasonable wage, like what his lost rent would be a lot of money if it's that place that they were staying, because that was a nice cabin.
Yeah.
So he refuses the payment. And then, so Sheila's complaining about her legs being sore from the workout.
My leg's supposed to be this sore.
And he's all like, hey, no pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain, right?
Then she stops the conversation. She's like, look, I got to tell you something. I'm really vulnerable right now. And she tells him basically that she doesn't want to hang out with him.
I need to tell you something. I'm really vulnerable. We can't go to the movies and hang out and stuff.
Because she doesn't want to get caught up. She references this hero syndrome that Dr. Patricia, her friend, and other people, and I think Dr. Phil, she says,
I don't want to get caught up in the hero syndrome.
that basically somebody who's trying to be nice to you and do nice things for you, that you fall for them because you're vulnerable because they've done something nice when they're really not into you like that.
It's when somebody comes along and they help you out, and just because they were being nice, you fall for them.
And so then Sheriff Troy is all like, well, I could have this same hero syndrome for you too.
I could have this same hero thing going on with you, too.
Then he goes into what I think is a very unrealistic sort of monologue for a man to say to a woman in this situation. And he goes on, this man was trying to break you, but every day I see you take some of that power back.
This man was trying to break you. Every day I see you take some of that power back.
Tells her how, great she is and beautiful and all of this and sexy and so on.
I mean, Sheila, you are an amazing, intelligent, spiritual, sexy, strong, and beautiful woman.
Right. And I'm like, no, I don't think a man would have said this to her. I
Why
don't think
not?
a man in that position.
If he's trying to get with her, that's it's clear he's trying to get with her.
Yeah, but I don't think he's like the slick talking type. To me, that's like maybe something the slick talking, manipulative
He still
type of guy
got to
would have
convince
said.
her. It don't matter if slick talk or not. You got to convince her. That's just how it goes.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like this is something your girlfriend would have said to you. Girl, he tried to break you, but you strong and we got you. But,
Well.
but this is this guy saying it. And I felt like that was a little bit weird and unrealistic.
They don't have the conversations with the girlfriend, so whoever wrote it, Tyler Perry, wanted this to be said, so it had to come out of some character, and it came out of this guy.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I think it could have been
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
if maybe she just called her friend and we saw
Or-
them say that on the phone.
Like in film, you do it symbolically. You don't have to always say the thing, right? You may feel like, oh, she's been broken and now she's making these strides, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an idea that you convey through, the film making itself,
Mm-hmm.
instead of a character having to say everything that you want to convey.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And that's one of the things that the dialogue is supposed to serve for. Well-written dialogue would serve to advance the plot and give information that you want people to know. That's part of the purpose, right, of having the dialogue. But I think they could have shown us some
Yeah.
things too. They could have shown her working out or,
Yeah.
like other things that, like you
Just
said,
think.
symbolically could have.
They could have showed her in the hotel room, right, down, right, laying down, walking around with her head down, kind of like Pootie Tang was after he lost his belt, walking all down like that, right? And it symbolizes her being down. And then it shows her working out and she's still weak and stuff. And then she's getting stronger. And then it builds up to this point where they have this conversation and he don't have to say all that stuff because he's symbolically built her up. And then it just bam, blow up with this kiss.
Yeah.
That's how, if I was making a movie, I would kind of try to make it.
Right. And so she is doubtful of what he's saying in this moment. And she's like, I didn't do anything. All I did is basically sign these divorce papers. And then he's like, sometimes that's all the fighting you got to do is sign the papers. Like, in other words, sometimes that's all you got to do is let it go.
I just signed the papers. I didn't even fight.
Sometimes signing the papers is all the fighting you need to do.
I think that is a good lesson. Like, that's a hell of a statement, though, actually, because sometimes in life when things happen, we want to fight, right? Or we think we should be fighting when at the end of the day, sometimes peace is the better option. Just let that junk go and move on to what's next for you in your life. And, but while you caught up in the fighting, you can't move on, but I'm reading a lot into that, but I like that line that that he says. But she's still doubtful, right? She's like, don't play with me.
Don't play with me.
I'm not playing with you.
And that's when he comes and he's like, I'm not playing with you. So he gets frustrated with Sheila in this this is the
Why did
first
she say don't play with me like that, though?
she's like,
It's
don't
just
play
the
with
way
me
she
because she
said it,
think he's
like,
running lines,
bruh.
And
Well, according to you, he was.
well, no, according to you, he was. I felt like it wasn't the best, like,
Exactly. It's like,
dialogue.
you say a
but-
man wouldn't say this, right? So yeah, it's
Well.
a dude just running lines.
But I don't think that's who the character is.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
the part where I feel like that's why his little monologue part earlier should have just been taken out. So she's like, don't play with me. And then he comes back and he's mad. He's like salty with her. And we haven't really seen him salty. We've only seen Sheriff Troy calm and willing to solve problems and caring, right? And compassionate. We have not seen him be upset with her. This is it. He's starting to get annoyed. And he's like, Sheila, you're amazing. You're sexy. You're intelligent. You're strong. He's giving her all of this fill up, right? And then she goes, not big as I am.
Not as big as I am.
This is almost like the exact same scene from Gloria and Waiting to Exhale, right? Where she's
The whole time they were looking each other up and down and stuff. But then she was like, would you like to have dinner with us tonight?
And he declines, right? And when he declines dinner, she feels rejected. And what does she do? She insults herself. I don't need to be eating this as big as I am, right?
To be honest, I don't have no business eating it myself, big as I am.
But when she recounts the dinner, she's like, it ain't nothing, just a little leftovers. She names off basically a Thanksgiving spread. She's
Collard greens, some cornbread, some candied yams, a little potato salad, fried chicken, peach cobbler, fruit slices of ham.
She insults herself. But then he's like, well, I like a woman with a little meat on her bones, basically, making a reference that his wife was a larger woman. Again, back to the self-deprecation. And I'm not going to beat her up too much for it because this is what Mike has been telling her. So, when a person has been almost brainwashed in a way with the negative stuff about themselves, then I think that, that's what it is. And we get some insight, but not before Sheriff Troy got to get her straight, because he finally kind of snaps on her and he's like, basically stop downing yourself. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable for you.
Stop downing yourself. I mean, it's not attractive. I don't like it. And that makes me uncomfortable for you.
If you don't like how you look, do something about it.
If you're not happy about the way you look, then change it.
And the first thing she does, she's like, I'm sorry.
The first thing I think is he's wrong. That's a terrible line.
Which part?
If you're not happy about the way you look, then change it. What you mean?
When it's weight, it's one thing. Perhaps you can change it.
Maybe, but it ain't about whether or not you can change it. It's what it actually signifies, right? Some things can't be changed. So what do you mean if you don't like how you look? A lot of people don't like to be dark-skinned, so what they start doing, bleaching. And then we're not going to get into that because everybody, it's your choice. You get to do what you want, but, to each his own.
That's a really good point.
But to me, it's a terrible line that just shows the degradation of humanity.
It begs this idea of whether or not we should be trying to have our outsides match our insides.
Match.
Or whether or not our outsides are just our outsides,
and
right?
The importance of that, right?
Because we live in a world where everything is like kind of phony and fake and, plastic surgeries and all the things that people do to alter themselves.
Remember that thing you showed me of that guy who made himself taller?
Yes.
Bruh. Just crazy stuff.
Like if you're short now, you can get tall. If you feel like you're too dark, you can get lighter. If your nose is too wide, in your opinion, you can get a nose
hack
job.
It up and make it look bad. But you make your face look worse than it already is.
Yeah, we need only look as far as many of these celebrities to see like what the deal is. Even something that people look at and view as harmless, and I'm gonna go here and say it, but like even like these lace wigs that everybody is wearing and stuff. It's a tough one.
I think it's normalizing the look, right? Because when you wear the hair that's not like black people's hair, to me, it looks fake. And it don't look good because it looks fake. So when it's normalized, then it's normal to have the fake look, which is why people have a problem with people with their natural hair, as if that is the not correct or the standard look. Yeah. And it doesn't look good, but the fake look looks good. But to me, it's just looks fake and not good.
Yeah. And it's hard because, it's tough because people will push back. We don't get to police what other people look like. And that's very true enough. You
don't get to police, but
people can do what they want to do. But there's
I can
another
have thoughts
flip side
about it,
to
right?
that.
It's the same way as if you're not happy about the way you look, then change it. Then if I'm not happy about the way people look, then I don't have to act like I like it either.
Yeah.
And it's not me saying that you need to change what you're doing. It's just like, well, to me, this doesn't look like real hair. And if you think you were wearing a wig look like real hair to you, that's good. But to me, it don't look like it's your real hair.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. It's
Yeah.
not saying do something different.
Personally, it's not saying for me personally that I'm like completely anti any sort of fake hair or anything like that. I'm not, there are lots of different styles that people can wear and whatever. And in my life, I have worn like every style.
Yeah.
Long, short, weaves, even lace wigs. Child, I was wearing lace wigs before they came to your local beauty shop. When I
Yeah.
first started, I actually had a business selling them back in the day, selling them for women who had hair loss issues and stuff, going through chemo and everything like that, and then even women who just wanted them for fashion. But mostly it was people who had like alopecia and hair loss issues and things who were
Yeah.
buying the wigs because they were very, very expensive at that point, like, between $700 to $1,000. And they were being ordered, kind of straight from Asia at that point. Like back when Beyonce was first wearing them, not like now. We're talking about around the time of this movie, a little before that, maybe like 2005 time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at what point does changing what you look like become enough, right? Oh, I don't like my hair, I change it. I don't like my color, I change it. I don't like my eyelashes, I change it. I don't like my eyebrows, I don't like my nose, I don't like my lips, I don't like my cheeks, I don't like my forehead, I don't like my boobs, I don't like my butt, I don't like my legs, I don't like my feet, I don't like my nose again, I don't like my eyelashes, I don't like my hair, I don't like my forehead, I don't like my cheeks, I don't like my arms. Like,
well, I think that it depends, right? On the one hand, if you just feel like you have this one bothersome thing, then you feel like getting that thing, quote, fixed would help you feel better and have more self-confidence or not be an issue, then maybe it ends there. But
maybe.
maybe it's just this one thing that bothers you and you get it fixed or whatever, like, I don't know, maybe if you had a weird mole somewhere or, something that becomes a topic of conversation and then that's addressed and then you can move on with your life. But then with some people, I think it does become addicting. It's this attempt at perfection. But then what is the standard of what is perfect,
And then a lot of it is just trendy stuff too.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you see,
remember
like,
to
people are starting
cut
to
off my eyebrows and tattoo on these little skinny eyebrows back in the day, right?
But see, the thing about eyebrows and lashes and the temporary alterations is that when thicker eyebrows become in, hopefully you still got some brows left.
Some people tattoo the thick ones on, right? So see, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, but that's what I was getting to. But when you make these permanent changes, when you make your body, shaped a certain way, or you get, a really like wild hip to waist ratio, and you're doing all of these other types of more permanent alterations, then that presents a bigger issue. Not only a health issue in a lot of cases, but then also what do you do when it's not in anymore? I mean, because you see, even a lot of the women who were getting like some of the silicone implants and all sorts of stuff, like they start taking that stuff out at some point.
Yeah, it's just the sign of the times. But I don't think it's going to change because just like with this movie, if you're not happy with the way you look, then change it. That it's just become commonplace because it used to be a secret, right? Oh, everyone's denying their nose jobs and their body work and even wearing weave.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my real hair.
Yeah, that's true.
Back in the day to now, like, dang, you had the best wig on the block.
Yeah, I mean, but at least the transparency, I think, is a good thing because you're not trying to perpetrate. But, there and let me just say, because we talked about wigs a lot here, there are a lot of times in history where, like, think about powdered wigs and how, people were wearing powdered wigs back in the day. That junk did not look real. That was just part of the fashion at the time.
They was covering up STDs.
And they were covering up STDs, going bald and having lice. Okay. So it served a purpose. But the point is, there were people sitting up there with these crazy looking powder wigs that doggone well did not look real. And then not to even, this is a woman that we're talking about in this situation, but like even like men are even into it at this point.
Oh,
you
bro,
got
with
men,
the
it used to
beards.
be the wigs, the toupees. Now you got men with the lace front beards and you got them, spraying on their hairlines and things like that. Men who are, getting alterations and plastic surgeries because they want to get rid of the pot belly or whatever, so it's not just women. It's men too, but I do think that there is a unique type of pressure that is on women that is more than men as far as the physical appeal.
Where does it end?
It never ends. Look at it. Look at things now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like as a society, right? It starts off, hey, we wear some weave or whatever, and maybe braids, right?
Yeah.
Extensions. To now, it's man, you had, and it was rich people who were doing certain things, right?
Yeah.
Now it's, hey, go get your fillers and like, and then it just compounds. It's more and more stuff
Yep.
to tax on to all the other things you really have to worry about. Now we got our cosmetic surgery bills
Yep.
to add. It's like,
Crazy.
yeah.
So,
But that's what I think of when I hear that line. It's so much wrapped into it, but they say it like it's this great thing, just generally, right? Then just change it. Like it's just nothing to think about. It's just universally correct.
well, and we have to keep in mind that all the dialogue is doing in these movies is pushing certain viewpoints and positions, that people,
Yeah.
real people have, right? That they want to get across in these movies.
Yeah, intentional or unintentional.
Mm-hmm. In response to that, she's like, I'm sorry. I'm so used to Mike saying things that I would just try to beat him to it.
Sorry. I'm just so used to Mike saying things. I try to beat him to it.
So if I down myself, then, the blow is less
Yeah.
when you come behind me and try to down me when I've already acknowledged that whatever this physical limitation as far as Mike is viewing it is, right?
Yeah, and he says, I ain't Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Ooh, that was like one of the best lines.
Bruh.
Listen, I'm susceptible because I just like Troy as the hero in this, and he's saying most of the right things. Tyler Perry got some of these lines wrong, but in this case, I ain't Mike. And that's the other thing I think people have to realize when they deal with other people, because no matter what, and I'm not just romantically, when we have trauma in our lives and trauma that was maybe caused and done by a particular person, then it's like you want to be guarded against every person, like every person is the one to do that. And that's just not the case.
Did she realize Mike wasn't good? Because up until the blow up with Trina, she was just totally in love with this guy, Mike, right? So saying I ain't Mike, is it, well, how does she really view Mike?
Well,
Because we don't get any insight into
I think
how
she hated Mike now, right? But before,
yeah, but the
up to
acts
that
and
point,
stuff.
I think
Yeah.
that she felt so invested in Mike throughout all of these years. I thought that if I gave him what he wanted, he would give me what I needed and all of these things.
But not that she liked Mike.
But I mean, I don't think she even let herself ask that question. Do you know what I'm saying? She stayed away from anything that might make her decide to get rid of Mike. I mean, and we ask folks who were the viewers whether you thought Sheila would ever leave Mike. Most people said that they didn't think that she would. And the ones who did say that they thought that she would leave felt like, oh, it would have happened maybe in time and she would have to come to these things. But most people didn't think that she was going to ever leave him. And funny enough, most people, when asked the reverse question, whether Mike would ever leave Sheila, most of the people didn't think that he would actually leave her too. It would just be that he was just going to torture her, keep her being the maid and everything else. And it just be stepping out on her all the
It's
time.
all because of Angela.
So Angela is why they broke up. No, I'm just kidding. That's not how I really feel. But anyway.
No, it is because she had to expose what was going on. Otherwise, Sheila would have never seen it and he would never said anything.
I guess that's probably true.
But
I guess the question I was asking, was it bad, or was it a bad thing for it to be exposed, or was it a bad thing for them to break up? And, looking at this, I mean, the way Mike was treating her and was so abusive, of course it wasn't a bad thing. She needed to get rid of him. And I was glad to see Mike go. So he does. He's like, I ain't Mike.
Yeah.
And then he leans in and kisses her. This
I don't like the cinematography of it because he had to stand up, lean over the table, and take all this time.
It was weird. It was kind of awkward, but still it was good because it was awkward in a way too. Because the whole thing was awkward. They had this uncomfortable conversation and it was awkward.
And
but
then out of nowhere, he just leaned over
he
this
just
table.
leaned because he had to communicate something. He had to communicate, hey, I ain't Mike. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be affectionate to you, and we find out because she's like, ooh, she's totally flustered after that kiss. She's like, I ain't felt that in a long time.
Oh, Jesus, Lord, have mercy, God.
And her first instinct is like, I need to pray, because the hot flames of love that are rising up in her at this point, she probably is ready to go to the bedroom.
I ain't felt that in a long time. I think I need to pray.
And she's like, I got to get this under control, you know? And she's like, I need to pray. You want to pray with me or whatever? And he's just looking at her like she crazy. He like, all right.
Can we pray?
Hi.
But I think that he needed to communicate his interest outright, you know, as opposed to it just being, hey, let's go hang out or whatever. Because basically she was having this sort of, not a breakup conversation, but like a give me space conversation. Hey, we can't be hanging out. I'm just telling you. And he didn't accept that, actually. He said, well, I better, you know, take my chance while I can get it. And, you know, so he expressed what he had to say. And then he expressed what he had to express physically. And, well, that was enough.
You're looking real sweet.
Look at you.
Oh, nice suit.
I know your bald-headed ass did not bring her up in here.
So they're at an award banquet for Dr. Patricia. Mike shows up with Trina, and it's very weird.
His side chick, his mistress turned main chick.
Yeah. And then Angela's like, why did you bring her? I'm thinking the same thing. Why'd you bring her? But I guess that's
his woman now.
That's your woman now. But are you there to support Gavin?
He's there to support Patricia.
Patricia,
right?
his friend, I guess.
You know, he was invited and he's going to show up. And plus,
he was probably invited when he was with Sheila.
Yeah, he was. And you know, Mike's personality is the type of personality where he is gonna, you know, try to throw a monkey wrench. Quite frankly, you shouldn't have showed up at all after you threw a bomb on everybody's marriage. Like, bro, you should be exiled. You shouldn't even be allowed to come around at all.
And they all just cordial and stuff. And then you have Diane, after Angela asked that, telling her to settle down because Angela asked, why did you bring her?
I did.
All right, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trina asked the men, how are things, right?
So, how you guys been doing?
We're good. How have you been? Good.
Great.
Good.
You was at the table when this dude done this stuff. Like, what the is this? Why
You're
is he
just
here?
being polite. It is like middle class, upper middle class phoniness. It's just
Yeah, but you're not required to be in the mix.
Trina was always getting in the mix, trying to, you know, say something. But in this
I'm
case,
talking about Mike being in the mix.
Well, okay. So in this case, I think we're seeing the same thing happen. Now Mike is like, okay, I'm bringing my woman now, accept my woman into the fold of this, you know, multi-couple friendship, right?
Yeah, but why? Because
He ain't got no other friends, really.
Well, you ain't my friend after what happened at the dinner.
Go to the comments and tell us, look, after what happened at that dinner, if you're a guy and Mike is your friend or was your friend before that, after he bust out your marriage and told your personal secrets out in front of everybody, is Mike still your friend? Like, can Mike show up at this banquet? I don't even know how he could show up.
With the side chick.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
But then we get an indication that, you know, all is not well in paradise between Trina and Mike, because when she's like, oh, I got to, you know, go to the ladies' room or whatever. So
Good. You look good.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go to the ladies' room and freshen up. Okay?
All right.
So she's leaving the group, and then he leans over to try to kiss her, and she rejects it, and she's like, lipstick, you know, or whatever.
Oh, lipstick.
So now she is not like into Mike. Like, she's giving back Mike some of the I'm not really attracted to you situation that Mike used to be giving to Sheila, right? Except she's just not saying it out loud, but she didn't give him the kiss. So she wouldn't allow that. My makeup might get messed up. Ooh, you know. And so, yeah.
Lipstick. Don't kiss me.
Oh, stop.
The guys make fun of Mike, you know, about the fact that Trina wouldn't give him a kiss in the makeup thing.
Sheila?
But then we see that Trina and Sheila have a chance meeting in the bathroom, and Trina cannot believe her eyes. She sees that Sheila has glowed up, is looking great, and all she could do is like shake her head and be like, you look amazing.
Trina, you look amazing.
Sheila is like, well, you know, I wondered what I would do when I saw you next.
How are you? I feel amazing.
And then she goes through her list of options or whatever.
I wonder what I would do when I saw you again. If I would cuss you out or...
And it kind of made me chuckle when she was brought up, like, whoop that ass.
Stomp you in the street, whoop that ass.
I thought she was going to say, whoop that trick. Get him.
Shut up. Talking about that reference from Hustle and Flow. But Sheila says, amazingly, all I want to do is pray for you.
And amazingly, all I want to do is pray for you.
So she doesn't want to, just fight her on sight. But she does say, but, basically don't tempt me. Stay away from the wine bottles, referencing when she knocked Mike over the head with a wine bottle.
But don't tempt me. Stay away from the wine bottles, okay?
Yeah. What did you think about her response to Trina?
Sheila's response?
Yeah, Sheila's response to Trina.
Have a good evening.
I guess you have to have the confrontation, but it's one of those things where it doesn't really advance. It's just to, I guess, give the audience something, right? And to kind of say that, I guess to push the religion, right?
And that
hey,
Sheila
she
took
just
the
gonna
high
pray.
road.
Yeah,
she
just
turned
gonna
the other
pray
cheek.
for her.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm still a little ratchet, so stay
I'ma
away
just
from the
say-
wine bottles.
Yeah, I felt like, did this give the audience what the audience wanted? I think the audience would have wanted to see her knock Trina out. But I think there was another
Well-
compromise that wasn't had here, and that is that there were some things that needed to be said and they weren't said. So, but instead it was just dismissed. I'm letting it ride. The thing that needed to be said was, to me, the confrontation about the fact that you pretended to be my friend and you were sleeping with my husband. Like, something should have been spoken on that. And I don't feel
Well,
like it really, really was.
I don't think it would do anything. So does it really need to be said?
Oh my gosh. That's a conversation that I always have with people, is because I feel like I just need to say it. I need to say it. I need to get it off my chest. And then, but just like what you said, is it going to do anything? What is it going to do? It's going to get it off my chest. That's what it's going to do. Yeah, but I mean, that's a very valid position. And I vacillate between, whether to just not say anything at all or get it off my chest. But in this moment, I felt like, man, Sheila deserved to be able to say a little bit more, but maybe it would have gone grimy. Maybe there was no way to say more and not have it get gully in the process. But I like to believe there maybe could have been a way. And by the way, the other thing is that in this film, Jill Scott, up to this point, playing Sheila, had been wearing a fat suit. Yeah.
Sheriff? Yo, what you doing here?
Mike runs into Troy and he's like, hey, Sheriff Troy, what are you doing here? And
Well, we came to support Patricia on her big night.
Troy's just like, yeah, we came here to support Patricia, We? Is how Mike responded.
We? Who's we?
Me and my wife.
And then Troy like, yeah, me and my wife. And then out of nowhere, here comes Sheila coming out of the bathroom looking much smaller than when Mike last seen her.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Boom. She done came out all glowed up.
With her bosoms posted up.
That bra is doing his job.
Sheila?
Hello, Mike.
Sheila gets to have her moment of revenge, so to speak, right? She's looking good with her husband, her new man.
Which
way is it?
You look beautiful.
And Mike is just standing there looking like a fool. He say, my wife.
Bruh.
But here's a question that I have. Could Sheila have not lost the weight, stayed her same size, been dressed up, had her husband, had her man, and come out and it been just as powerful a moment? I think yes.
It would if Mike ain't happy, right? That's
Yep.
what all it would have to be.
Yep.
And when they make these decisions in movies and stories, then it's indicating something too.
That you need to be thinner, that you need to be, and it's not like she got to be, a toothpick all of a sudden, right? She still is a plus size woman and a curvy woman.
Yeah, and I guess we'll hear Troy speak more to that too.
Mm-hmm.
Divas.
Troy and Sheila walk into this room where I think the women are, I don't know,
Like a
printing up,
dressing
getting
room or
dressed.
whatever.
She
Yeah.
brought this man up in there, but and she says, "Hey, divas," and
What happened?
then they like, "Oh, look, it's our old friend who we haven't seen in forever."
Oh my God.
But they don't mention her weight loss.
Well, they don't mention it because it's all on their face. They're like, "Oh my God, look at you." They were all surprised that she looked as good as she looked.
We were worried about you, you know.
I'm fine.
And I see people or men I haven't seen in a long time. I always mention their weight.
Why?
I don't know. It's just how it is.
I don't
I'll
know.
be like,
Maybe
dang, you done gained a bunch of weight, bro.
Bruh. Okay, so like let's just be clear, and we kind of had this conversation a little bit when we were talking about our Above the Rim review that we did on our other channel. By the way, we'll link that in the description in case you're interested in that breakdown. But where we were talking about things that guys say to other guys that women would not say to each other. A woman is not going to, when you walk up, at least somebody who is couth, is not going to sit up there and be like, girl, you gained a whole bunch of weight. You looking fat. You know, now if you lose weight, they might be like, oh my goodness, look at how much weight you've lost. But actually, these women are of a certain class and culture, except Angela. And you really wouldn't reference the weight, because what if she lost weight because she's undergoing some type of sickness or whatever? Again, that doesn't seem to be the indication here. But the point is, you don't reference person's weight or something like that. You know, it just is considered in poor taste to do such a thing. But they're clearly surprised. They say it on their face. Oh, you have this glow.
This glow.
You know, all of that.
What's this glow that I see happening here? I haven't seen that in a long time.
You know, Patricia's like, well, why do you have this glow? What's going on? And then you see Troy and he leans over and he's like nuzzling her ear and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd like to think I had something to do with that.
I like to think I had a little something to do with that.
Why is Cowboy? I always want to say Cowboy Troy.
Cowboy
Why
Troy.
is Sheriff Troy here?
Oh, hey, Troy.
How you doing, ladies?
What are you doing here?
Sheila?
And
You know, and then she has her like the color purple moment like Suge Avery when she tells her daddy, I was married now.
I was married now. I say I was married now.
She came in, she's like, I stayed in Colorado
I stayed in Colorado.
and we got married, and she shows her wedding ring. Okay.
I'm married now.
Get out!
The ring it's huge. Troy has some money, clearly, some money. And she's got, you know, at least a 2 to 3 carat solitaire in the middle of all that. Now, granted, we know it's fake for the movie, but the point is the thing is huge. And I think that was on purpose, right?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Troy, you gotta go.
Get out.
You know, so now she's got more. Like, she has been given more than what she had when she was holding on to the raggedy man she was holding on to. Right now, she's
Dang.
got this loving, affectionate man that makes her glow. And now her friends are all happy to see her happy.
What did her ring look like before?
Oh, that's a good question. We have to go back. If I can, we can maybe put if we can get a close up of her ring before, and we can see what that looks like. But maybe, I don't know, he probably did a better job than Mike. Mike probably said, you only deserve this much because you're fat.
So did she sell it?
Sell her ring?
Yeah. What do you do with the old wedding ring?
It depends. If you have children, which they didn't, but if you have children, you might keep it for your children.
Wait. Oh, children of that.
Yeah, of that
parent.
marriage, right?
Okay,
you
what
might
if you
keep it for
don't?
them. If you don't have them, then I don't know, maybe you keep it in your jury box, or maybe you sell it. Look, I'm in favor of just get rid of it. Like, don't be holding on to bad juju. You know, so yeah.
And then they kick Troy out because he probably shouldn't have been in here.
Troy, get out. We need to speak to our friend so she can tell us what happened. Bye.
He in the
To
ladies'
begin with.
dressing room and whatnot, and they want to have girl talk. They want to get the lowdown.
Yeah, they want to hear the nasty stuff.
Shut up.
You know, she looked really good. Did you? I missed it too. I'm sorry.
Said
She looked good. Good. Okay, she looked really good.
Back outside as they're waiting for the banquet to get started, Mike is saying that Sheila looks really good. You know, she looks really good as he's talking to Terry and Gavin, and they're like, you said what? You said what?
I haven't seen her in a while, so it was kind of, ooh. It was kind of surprising.
To see her. To see her what?
And he's like, not really wanting to admit that he thinks that Sheila looks good.
Yeah, I just haven't seen her in a while, that's all.
Mike is just hating and whatever, and then he goes on like, it was surprising that she looked like she looked, basically. And then Terry and Gavin are like, well, do you miss her?
You miss her? What?
Come on, man.
They're totally just trolling Mike at this point because they realize Mike is getting his comeuppance.
But where's Marcus?
I don't know. That's a
What
really
the-
good question.
Where is Marcus?
Arguing with Angela somewhere. Now Angela's in the room with the women. I don't know. Marcus is over to the side calling his baby mama behind Angela's back. I don't know. I do not know where Marcus is.
Yeah.
Troy. How you doing, guys? Hey, Sheriff.
But then Mike tries to slide her and just basically be like, what, did she get that gastric bypass?
So, she had that gastric bypass?
Because Sheriff Troy walks up.
Congratulate him. You know, him and Sheila got married.
Right.
And then, he's all like, he married my ex.
He married my
Congratulations in
ex.
order.
To you and
He
Sheila.
married
my
to you.
ex.
And again, just being a straight up hater, and the idea of her getting a gastric bypass is like to suggest that she didn't work to lose the weight, which anybody who has known people who've had any type of weight loss surgery understands that is not the easy route. It's a lot of pain and you still got to work to, lose and maintain that weight loss. But anyway, Sheriff Troy says to Mike, he's like, nah, we just worked out together.
No, we just worked out together.
And then Gavin and Terry are laughing again because they're like, you know what that means, implying that, they did the horizontal mambo in order for her to lose weight.
You know what that means, right?
And Gavin and Terry also are like, I can't wait to see her because they haven't seen Sheila's glow up yet.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see her. I want to see her too, man. I can't wait to see what working out to do for you.
But when Mike is talking about, he married my ex or whatever, as trying to be a slight, Troy says, one man's ex is another man's treasure.
What now?
I said he married my ex.
One man's ex can be another man's treasure.
What you think about that line?
It's lame.
And earlier I stand corrected because I said one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that's actually the quote itself. But in the movie, it was slightly modified to one man's ex is another man's treasure. So in no way was I calling Sheila trash, just for, the people in the comments who like to be caught up in the weeds.
Well,
but anyway,
she still would be Mike's trash.
that's what I think in a
That's
way.
how he treated her, like trash.
So two people, now we have Trina and Troy as the new two people who are brought into the fold, right? And I kind of wondered, like, what would be the dynamic between Trina and Troy when they saw each other at this thing, too?
Huh. Well, they kind of were still strangers, so it's probably not that
But
big
they
of a
were
deal.
flirting with each other. Trina probably going to try to be pushing up on Troy, but Troy is
Yeah.
the type of man who wouldn't have it. But yeah, Troy is trying to, I don't know, he's being polite and kind of coming into the fold as part of this multi-couple friend group.
How does the bad blood work, right? If Mike don't act this way towards him, then how does Troy receive Mike, right? Because the issue really is between Mike and Sheila, not necessarily between Mike and Troy.
That's true, but guess what? If it's somebody who I love, then and you did them dirty and you continue, you acting funny or whatever it went on, then we got an issue too.
Acting funny now is now. It's not before, right?
You
It's
mean-
just somebody's ex. Like, do you hold grudges against other people's
If
exes?
it was just,
you know what I'm saying?
If it was a regular ex, I would say no, right? But this is an abusive ex. It's not like, oh, we grew apart or this, or even if it was just like one cheating incident happened and they broke up because of that and they moved on with their lives, right? This is where he, over a period of time, like abused her, cheated on her, embarrassed her in front of all her friends. Like, the list of offenses that Mike committed was long. And then he continues. Well, you said if it didn't continue, if he was being cool. But even if Mike was being cool, it would be like, yeah, he got to get fed with a long handled spoon. I'm not going to be rude.
But the way you interact with him wouldn't be the same, right? Just this guy who's over here because the other people are here with him too.
Yeah.
And the other women.
Yeah, if Mike was just acting normal and not being a hater in this moment, it would just be like, hi and bye, okay. And then I just wouldn't have an interaction. Like when I come across people who are that way, who I know I don't F with them, then I'm still going to be cordial. I'm going to speak, but, I'm not going to have a whole lot to say to them. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to make the situation awkward purposely. But if I don't F with you, I don't F with you. you know, but I don't know. Maybe, do you think that they could have become friends if Mike had been?
I think probably if you just don't bring up that relationship and stuff, and it seems like Sheila is over it and she's not mentioning him and his misdeeds all the time and stuff, then yeah, right? Because it doesn't necessarily, it no longer exists in that same way.
Yeah. What a kind way to be able to move on with life. Yeah, if Mike, like, let's just say if his personality was totally different, or, you know, he was just
Yeah.
like, you know,
What if he was like, congratulations, she's a good woman.
congratulations, I lost a good woman. I'm over here with this hag right now who won't even cook and
He'd
spending
be
up all my
like,
money.
Troy, you dodged the bullet, bro.
I got what I deserve, Troy. You know.
He like, you lucky you didn't get with her that weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it, you know, because I am for peace in that sense, but it's just, I don't know. It would be hard. But in this situation, the way it plays out here, like, nah, he's making a mortal, like a mortal enemy of Troy
But
in these moments.
do you remember Troy? So you went up there for a weekend, right? Troy was just the guy who was the sheriff there. Do you necessarily remember him?
Yes, because Troy was pitted with your woman, right? With your side chick. Troy was the one who was being hooked up with Trina, his side chick. So he was hyper focused on Troy. Oh, you know, let me try to throw shade at Troy because, you know, I know you don't make a lot of money as a sheriff.
I probably wouldn't even remember Troy.
Well,
I would remember him, but I wouldn't be like, Troy, what are you doing here? I'd be like,
I know
was
you
over
from
there
somewhere.
at that.
Nah, he was hyper focused on Troy because, you know, Troy was encroaching on his territory as far as he was concerned with Trina.
Come to the table, man. I can't play with you.
Don't be bitter, man. We just.
So back in the dressing room, we see Sheila begin to tell her story to her girlfriends, and she's like, I prayed that God would save my marriage, but it wasn't built on the right things.
I prayed that God would save my marriage, but it wasn't built on the right things anyway.
And implying that, you know, that's why her marriage had failed. And she gives even more insight. And she's like, I thought that if Mike got right, so if I don't know if he got right with God or if he just got right as a person, and that if she lost the weight, that everything would be okay.
I thought if Mike got right, if I lost the weight, that everything would be okay.
So now we understand why early on she was acting like she was acting, because this was what was going on in her mind, right? She was acting in denial, even though she knew something was wrong, because she thought just like, look, these two things happen. If I lose the weight, Mike gets right, boom, everything's going to be all golden. But it wasn't.
Or he just gets right.
Or he just gets right. Yeah, yeah. So she starts to cry in this moment. And then she talks about how, you know.
It's been hard.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been hard, but it's me. I'm doing it, and it feels so good.
And you always like make a little bit of fun of me about this, but like this scene, even now when just rewatching it, it gets me teary-eyed. It always made me cry, this scene did. Stop laughing at me. Because like the things
It's supposed to be happy. He done moved on and stuff.
Because when you've been through some things in your life, then it makes you look at it and feel appreciative for what you have. Like sometimes, you know, like she goes on to say it's been hard, but she did it. It's her. She's doing it on her own, and it feels so good because she thought that God had given up on her in her mind.
I thought that God had given up on me. Yeah.
And that she was in this loveless marriage.
Here I am in this marriage and it don't work.
Where the man don't love her. He don't even like her.
He don't love me. He don't like me.
But then now she's got this amazing man who doesn't criticize her.
But he brought me somebody. He is an amazing man.
Who is good to her.
He is supportive. He doesn't criticize me.
And she just wakes up with so much joy in her heart, she says, right?
I didn't have that, and I do now. And
like that is the flip side of the hell she was living in with Mike. And it's just like, it's heartwarming.
I wake up with so much joy in my heart.
She's on a contradiction superhighway.
Shut up.
I done it all on my own. So this whole thing, right, with Tyler Perry, you have I'm making a religious movie, but it's a romance and all that, but whatever. But it's like the road to mainstreaming of prosperity gospel, because So she prayed and she has faith in all this. So she get these great things, or the things that she asked for, the things that she deserves here on earth. While there are other people who do the same thing, pray and really have abundant faith, and who don't get those things, who are in abusive relationships and don't get out of it because they had a friend next to them who said, hey, look at your friend right here who is sleeping with your man, right? And then a guy who just happens to be there on a vacation when you left with $87 says, hey, you could come stay with me, and all of this, right? Like, some people ain't privileged enough to even be in a situation like that, but it's make it as though it's that God favors you, right? You are blessed by God, which says it's something about you, that why you have things. And basically that's the how you get to where, okay, I prosper because I have faith, and if you don't, then something is wrong with you because God haven't blessed you in this same way. And that is kind of what they do with a lot of these religious movies, is make it like all you have to do is believe, and then you get your wants here on earth, because this is about wants and desires, human wants and desires.
You know, I might push back a little bit and say that is it a want? Is love is to be treated decently and not be abused a want, or is that a need? You know, I would argue maybe
Okay,
that
where
is a
now
need.
it's even worse.
Oh,
because some people don't get the need from
some
God.
people don't get their needs met, and
But-
some of the connections that are being made. But you know, she was telling her story from her perspective based on what her beliefs as a Black Christian woman in America might be. And you know, this lens, it might be viewed differently if you live in another part of the world.
Yeah,
where
but I think it's
this ain't the situation.
the culture and media determines what the religious philosophies are.
Yeah.
So when the people make these movies and stuff, or start the churches and preach the certain things and spread their media in different ways, then you get to,
Well, there's an aspect of blaming the victim that happens, right? Or saying that
someone is
if someone is
stronger
struggling,
or whatever.
yeah, right. You're in your situation because you want to be. Like, how I can't tell you, like, lately I've been seeing a lot about prosperity gospels and mindsets and stuff, and then people saying things like, oh, you have a quote poverty mindset, and labeling stuff, basically blaming people who are poor and been poor for generations, or
because
continuing to be poor,
a lack of
or
an understanding of capitalism.
yeah, and all of that. And I know I'm getting on a soapbox, but it's like you see that, and then they're blaming the person for being poor.
But so I say all this to say that it's like the writers or whoever who making a religious film or whatever, sharing with us their thoughts on religion, right? Intentional or unintentionally, right?
Well, yeah.
And how they think, or they're showing the way this character thinks about it, which is when you make it as a triumph story, then it's like a moral of be like Sheila, right? And pray, and then good things will come to you on this earth, right?
Right.
And
all you got to do is kind of
have the
this
faith
formula.
and whatever. Yeah. It's very abbreviated because it's not purely a religious philosophy movie. So then you try to throw in the religious pieces of it every here and there, right? Oh, I'm gonna pray for you, and I thought God had given up on me, and all of these little things that's just thrown in at various times to make it religious.
Yeah. And and we can't ignore the history that, Tyler Perry's plays, which came out before any of his movies, were all very religious based. They are these Black Christian religious pieces of artwork that he was putting out. And so this departs from it somewhat, but that is the implication. I think anytime you go to watch Tyler Perry thing, that is going to be infused with, with religious things and even religious tropes at times. But the message to me that is being said in this particular scene is like, keep the faith, stay strong, try to go out and do what you can do. And, that even if it seems like it, God hasn't forgotten you. Like, that's the message.
Okay. But it can be, where's the movie, that even though you don't get to where Sheila got to with this great joy or whatever, that God is still doing what God does. Can't that be a thing?
I mean, it could be,
Even
but
if you're
it's always
in
this
poverty, sad, being abused,
well,
God is there.
that ain't nobody making a movie about that.
Oh, well.
Like, and that being the end, right? because people want to look for inspiration in art, right? They want to look for the uplifting things, and who's going to be like, oh, Sheila went up to the mountain and saved her marriage with Mike, and he still continues to abuse her, but at least they're together.
Because she prayed to have her marriage saved.
Nope, nobody is gonna like that movie. They would have said this movie is trash. But on the flip side, the thing, the feeling, the emotions evoked in this scene for me was just simply that everybody, or most people in their lives, have been in a place where you feel like, okay, what do I do next? Or things got jacked up and now how do I, move on with my life? And if you're ever at that point in your life, and it doesn't have to be about romantic relationships. It could be a thing happens, or, you're getting over the death of a loved one, whatever it is, where you feel overlooked and forgotten and, like, dang, where am I supposed to get my inspiration from? That to have triumphed over that, to have continued living and putting one foot in front of the other, and this too shall pass, and it did pass. And to be on the other side of the pain is an emotional thing looking back. And that's what I would say is like the thing that evokes it. But
it's a privilege as well.
It is a privilege. You're right. You're right. It's a privilege. And that's part of why I was saying you have to, that when I look at it, it also makes me say, gee, I'm thankful that I'm not where I was. I'm thankful that, in life, sometimes you could be holding on to stuff and looking at stuff and thinking, oh, this is such the greatest thing and ever, and you holding on to junk. You holding on to something. And that was Sheila's situation, right? She's holding on to this abusive man, and I don't like to jump ahead and talk about other movies, or anything that happens. But like later we find out in this next movie that he was actually physically beating her too. So like Sheila had done been through some hell with Mike. I'm just glad she was able to get out of it. And then if you have a situation in your life where you have overcome, then to look back on that can kind of make you a little emotional. And for me, that's how I looked at it. Was just like, gee, Sheila really, she glowed up.
He walks with me. And he loves me through all of it.
But it wasn't until actually this watching of the film that I had two thoughts. One, what if Sheila didn't lose the weight and still had the man and all of this stuff? And that they, she had Troy and everything. Like, was it the weight loss? Was it the physical appearance? Because the movie does feed into this idea that she needed to be smaller. But see, Troy loved her bigger.
But
before she lost the weight, Troy loved her.
Troy loved her so much that he helped her to lose weight.
Well, and then again, let's just keep it real, because somebody in the comments is going to be like, oh, but it's an unhealthy weight for her to be even the size Jill Scott is here, is an unhealthy weight. And then he did it because he loves her and he wanted her to be healthy. But never in this film really was health brought up at all. So let's not even try to, as
if you're not happy about the way you
let's
look,
not try to cap,
then change it. Yeah. And then even when Mike brought up gastric bypass, it was brought up as it's a dig as not the right way to get healthy, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or to lose weight. Because it's not about being healthy. It's about losing weight. And a lot of times I think a lot of people losing weight in order to look a certain way. And a lot of people will be like, I want to just be healthy. I want to be healthy. And that may be true. But a lot of people, it ain't about being healthy. It's about, let me get a certain appearance.
You brought up she was catching hell, and I was just thinking they could have used the song "I'm Catching Hell." In this
I'm
movie.
catching hell. Yeah.
I'm catching hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's.
They could have used that. Yeah, they could have used that for sure.
Living here alone.
The next question that I do have is Sheila. It was portrayed as if Sheila kind of stopped looking to a man to solve her problems or whatever. And she did this self-sufficiently and she relied on herself. But was that really true? Because Sheriff Troy comes along and he is the hero early on. And he does help, really kind of help to solve her problems.
She mentioned it after they were working out, right? That, oh, you came and you basically my savior and no one want this so-called hero syndrome, all this. But then she gets here with her friends. I done it myself. And talking about God, he brought me somebody.
You know, which is true. Like Troy was a good man. Like we're not slighting Troy, but like how, you know, how did she actually view what happened between
What Troy done.
Yeah, what
for
Troy
her.
brought to them. Because Troy solved everything. You need a place to be? Come on, baby.
Bruh.
You could come stay over here rent free. I'm losing hundreds of dollars, probably thousands a month because I can't
That's
rent
what
this place
people
out
mean.
that you living at.
When they say they're self-made. I done it. People say
Sheila
that
is
all the
self-made.
time. I done it all myself. Come on.
You know, but I mean, she did make some progress. Like she was more involved. I'm not going to take that away.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you went from one man to another man. You went from one man to a better man. And that's not a criticism. That's just the fact of what happened. There wasn't even any time. It's not like Sheila went out and was like, oh, I'm going to go get this job and then I'm going to work for my own. And then eventually you meet a man. No, you met the man who would be your husband before you even divorced the first husband. And he was already there, starting to look after you.
Who gave you the job.
He gave you the job. Even, listen, he was saving you from trying to take your silly behind up that mountain in the middle of the night, icy mountain, and get yourself in a car wreck and be over a cliff in a ravine. You know, he was protecting. He was serving as the protector even before he had you.
It's funny because she was like, people been taking care of me all this time. I need to do it on my own. You were staying at Sheriff Troy's spot.
For free.
Talking about, I'm going to pay you back. You could have said that to your friend.
But in her mind, and I think she intended to, like, I think in her mind it made sense. It just was unrealistic on every
people
other
have to feel
account.
that way, right? To stroke their own egos. And I see
I'm going to pay you back.
No, that they're doing everything on their own, or it's because of me and my, you know what I'm saying? And just discounting all the help and assistance you're actually getting from other people along the way.
Yeah, go to the comments. Let us know. Like, did Sheila actually just go one man to the next and that man really solved her problems for her? Or did Sheila do it all on her own? Tell us in the comments what you think about that.
Two extremes.
Or tell us if you feel differently. I don't know. You know, whatever the options, tell us how you feel about this dynamic of, you know, Sheila getting her knight in shining armor coming to save her.
I'm very blessed to have won an honor
Janet Jackson, as Patricia, gives her speech.
for a book that has given me such gratification
It doesn't sound good at the beginning, but she's giving it.
and information and great vacations.
But then Mike is trying to talk to Sheila. And I'm thinking, how is he sitting next to her at this event like this? Like, who did this?
Yeah, I'm not sitting next to Mike at this event. It's not happening.
And we really didn't get a chance to talk.
And then Mike is so self-centered. He's trying to talk to her in the midst of
her speech,
Patricia's speech, her acceptance speech for this award. The whole reason they even went to Washington to begin with.
Well, he don't care, but
Yeah, he trifling like that.
But Sheila should have been like, shut up. I'm trying to listen to my friend's speech.
Well, she tried to. But Mike opens up with like, we didn't get a chance to talk. And then she's like, on purpose.
On purpose?
And he, you know, he's all like, don't be like that.
Come on, Sheila, don't be like that.
What do you want, Mike? I'm trying to listen to Patricia.
I don't want you to be mad at me.
Look, I'm sorry about how all this went down. I don't want you to be mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike, he tries to use her religion against her and says, forgive me. Isn't that what the good book says?
Yeah.
Forgiveness, isn't that what the good book says?
And he actually does apologize, though. It might have been easy to overlook, but he does say that he's sorry about how all of this went down. Interesting. He says, I'm sorry about how it went down. Not I'm sorry I was cheating on you. Not I'm sorry I was abusive. Not I'm sorry, you know, that I wrecked your life.
He say, I'm sorry Angela told you at the table.
You know, but yeah. And then like, what is his point here? You're here with Trina. What do you have to say? And I guess his only point is that I don't want you to be mad at me. That's it. He doesn't want her to be angry with him. And so she says,
well, I think he's trying to get back with her. Right? Because then he brings up there's this thing, the 20-80 rule.
There's this thing called the 20-80 rule.
Yeah, he's such a
And
doofus.
Sheila says, I know all about the 80-20 rule.
I know all about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, and in the midst of all of this back and forth, he also says that, you know, because she says, well, I forgave you already, because he wants forgiveness.
I forgave you a long time ago.
I forgave you already because if I hadn't forgiven you, I would have been taking it out on Troy, and he's just too good for that.
Because if I had stayed angry, I would have taken it out on Troy.
Every time she shuts him down, here he comes with something else. He's like, but, I was your first, so you never forget your first.
I was your first. You never forget your first, right?
And she's like, you did think you were my first. I was like, well, okay, Sheila.
You did think you were my first, didn't you?
Sheila lied?
Or she just let him believe what he
Sheila lied?
thought. She didn't. Maybe
Did
she
Sheila
didn't.
lie?
Shut up.
Sheila started the relationship off with a lie.
We don't know that. We just know that.
I know that's what she's claiming now, though.
Shut up.
Dang, see, when you try to throw those digs in there in your writing, then you start to have little character flaws
You're
coming
degrading
out.
the character in the process.
Yeah.
But she does just like finally say to him, look, I thank you for helping me find myself then, but the woman I am now is done with you.
But the woman I am now is done with you.
Go back over there to Trina. Yo, 20.
So turn around and go back to Trina. You're 20.
Yo, 20%. Like, I know it was like, dang, but yeah, Mike deserved every bit of that and then some.
Good job, Tyler Perry. You
but
brought up the 80-20 rule earlier in the film, and then right here, you just throw it down on the table.
So here's
Domino.
my question. What do you think that Troy should have gotten involved in this at all?
In what?
In him trying to whisper to Sheila.
Yes.
Because Troy is right in front of Sheila. So
He should have been
you could
sitting
hear
up
her
there.
talking. You could hear her saying something. And
As a protector, Troy, how do you sit in front of her with her to your back? How do you protect? How do you
listen
see
at
her?
that. That's that protection game. You supposed to sit next to Mike
Tyler
and protect
Perry,
her
explain this. All of them are sitting in front of the women.
You supposed to be behind her to make sure that don't nothing sneak up on her, and you can see in front of her so nothing is coming from the front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't even
See Tyler Perry, bro.
I'm
You
sure maybe it was some
communicate things and-
cinematography thing, but
Yeah.
like he would have been whispering in Troy's ear, "Hey Troy,
Hey Troy, tap Sheila.
tap Sheila and tell her I'm sorry." That's weird. And then plus the guys are generally speaking going to be like taller and bigger than the women, and then I gotta like look over you because the way the seats are, like I have to look. You're in my way. You're in front of me as we face the front because the table is positioned the long way. So I don't know, but yeah, we know that Tyler wanted to get this scene done, and this just made sense in that moment.
Yeah.
But there's some things about it that don't make sense, and they should have been better. But maybe there's like a cinematography reason. The light was over here, and if we did it this way, blah 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 blah.
You placed the lights where you needed.
Well, we only had a few minutes, and we were filming, and we only had a few minutes left because we got this much time and our budget
I
constraints.
just think it had to be where he was leaning over her shoulder, interrupting her. Is it called interrupting?
Interrupting her,
Disturbing her. Yeah.
And like, how dare you think that you could get that close to me anymore and be up in my person like that? No, get back, dog. Absolutely not.
And you do have to think of her back is turned to him, right?
Yeah.
So you could turn your back to him.
Yeah, but I don't know. So did we decide, should Troy have turned around and been like, what are you talking about? Leave Sheila alone.
So I always
Leave
think
my
about
wife
this
alone.
when I'm watching TV shows, right? And sitcoms. They can't hear what's going on, this conversation between them. And when you watch a TV show or something, people be making all kind of crazy comments just loud, and the other people can't hear them at all. It'd be very crazy. Like if you ever watch sitcoms, or I think just TV shows in general, it's always where somebody is saying something that the other people around them can't hear, or they can't see them do either. And it's just always strange every time I see it. But I think that's how it's supposed to be. That nobody even notices this. Even think about it. His woman is behind him, and he's leaning over trying to talk to his ex.
And Trina see this. How is Trina? What does
That's
Trina
who I'm
think?
talking
Trina
about.
is like
Trina.
Trina just want the credit card. Trina don't care what you do.
What does Mike do for a living?
I don't know. Y'all, somebody in the comments know what Mike does for a living. Somebody will tell us. But I'm not sure what he does. But like, look, if I'm Trina, like, think about it. You're a new man. Well, I would never be Trina. But if I was in Trina's position, like, I'm leaning forward. Hello, I'm putting my chin up on your shoulder, player, because you're not finna just be disrespecting me like that. But, that's what you should expect from Mike, because Mike disrespected his whole wife of like over a decade in order to be with you, Trina. So, yeah, you get what you get. But I'm just saying, it was unrealistic. This dialogue needed to get pushed out, and that's what we get.
Yeah, but that's the conclusion of their story. So in the beginning, we had Sheila and Mike. Mike was totally disrespecting Sheila and cheating on her with her friend who they went on this resort vacation with. And then it came out while there that he was cheating. And then he just basically left her with no money, broke up with her, and left with the side chick. And she ended up getting with the sheriff who happened to be in that resort town. She never left. And then she worked out with the sheriff and lost weight and glowed up, and then showed up after not talking to her friend or not seeing her friends and not really talking to her friends for a while, telling them what's going on. Showed up at an award show for one of the friends. And then she runs into Mike, who regrets going with the side chick. And Sheila is all happy because she actually married the sheriff, who, she met at this vacation.
Yeah.
And she's all happy now. And she seems to be totally over Mike, but Mike is still uneasy.
And, it's like she's over Mike, but at the same time, I believe Sheila hates Mike. It would never be expressed, I don't think, completely. But I think that she's not indifferent to Mike, right? She clearly has negative feelings towards Mike, as anyone in that situation
woman. She
would.
don't hate him.
She hate Mike. I'm telling you, she hate Mike. And because part of that is enjoying the suffering, enjoying being able to put him in his place, right?
Yeah. Overall, is this movie about them, Sheila, Mike, and Troy?
That's an interesting question. Which couple is the movie about, or is it about them all equally?
Who was billed as the star of this movie?
Probably Janet Jackson.
Tyler Perry, Janet Jackson, and Jill Scott.
Okay, so the three top names, basically.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that the failing of the movie, if I could call it a failing, one of the shortcomings in the film is that it attempts to tell all of these four couple stories thoroughly in like a 2-hour movie. And that's just really, really hard to do, because there were details that I felt should have been left in. I mean, even here, look, this is our second video. We have talked almost like, close to 4 hours worth of discussion about Sheila, Troy, and Mike, right? Alone. And they're trying to sandwich in like all of these other couples.
And we still don't know what their relationship was really like. I don't know who Sheila and Mike's, what their relationship was really like. We know that he said stuff about her weight and stuff all the time.
It was everything opposite of what it appears hers with Troy is. That's how you know. He was not affectionate. He was not loving. He paid bills apparently, but he was a cheapskate. And he was sleeping around on her with somebody who was claiming to be her friend.
Oh, well, then he did a good job at conveying it.
Well, yeah, I guess
don't
so.
see that.
What I'm saying is just
I don't know
like,
what happened in their relationship.
There were questions. There were other questions I had, like, could it have been more explicit whether or not Sheila worked? Especially because, according to many of the viewers, the story in the play was different. And also, even in the play, apparently they had children.
Yeah, I don't remember the play.
So
I know I seen it long time ago.
It's been years and years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe I'll get the play and we can watch the
No,
play.
please don't. If you made it this far into this nice long video, type "I ain't Mike" in the comments so we'll know you ain't one of those people who identify with Mike.
Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like this video. It really helps us a lot when you do. Share and subscribe to this channel and our other channels, because we have multiple channels. All of the details for that are in the description, and check out one of these videos on the screen right now.